Hello there, welcome back to another episode of Strife's Talking Points, and today I'm going to go over the yesterday's ICE raid, where they picked up, and I'll just go through the headline here. ICE arrests 680 in Mississippi in the largest raid in a decade. ICE officials carried out a raid at a food processing plant where they arrested 680 illegal aliens in the country. And that is basically the start of the story, and we're going to go over the effects of that and kind of what's going on in the world around it. U.S. immigration officials swept through food processing factories in Mississippi on Wednesday, arresting 680 workers in one of the largest workplace crackdowns ever, Immigration and Customs officials said. ICE described the raid, which spanned 7 plants in 6 Mississippi cities, as the largest single state worksite enforcement in action history in a tweet. And there's the tweet there from ICE. ICE said in a news release that those arrested in the raid were being interviewed by ICE staff to record any potential mitigating humanitarian situations. Are they actual asylum seekers or just illegal aliens in the country working? The interview would help determine who would be released, the agency said. So 680 were taken. Once the interviews are completed, we'll have a better number of how many are being detained or deported as part of the action. Now, pretty simple. If you look at this from a work-related, from an American point of view, not from a what we're now seeing kind of the view on the left, is 680 people were taken out of these job sites. Unknown how many people actually work there. I'm assuming a few thousand. And these people didn't have papers, didn't have legal right to work here. And those who did will be, of course, released and put back to work. However, the rest will be deported. So let's say probably a good majority of those. These raids were planned months ago and transpired hours before President Trump's visit to El Paso. Trump has met with hundreds of protesters Wednesday when he parachuted into the majority Latino border city, where a man allegedly linked to hate-filled manifesto warning of a Hispanic invasion gunned down more than 20 people over the weekend. That happened in a Walmart. That is a very tragic story. We all need to thoughts, prayers, whatever action you can take as far as if you want to donate to the families. I'm sure there's sites set up for that. It is a horrible thing. And you'll see a lot of difference between the way the two stories are being treated. The El Paso shooting is very likely a white supremacist shooting. The one that happened in Dayton seems to be a Antifa, a far left shooter. And they're tying both of them to Trump, although with Antifa, most of that information comes out on the left. Anyway, more than 600 agents help with the sweeps. While we are a nation of immigrants, more than that, we are first and foremost a nation of laws. Mike Hurst, U.S. Attorney General for Mississippi, told reporters in a news conference on the sting. That is what separates the U.S. from most other countries around the world. We are actually based on laws. It is a very odd thing where only nations in what we consider the New World, North, Central, and South America, are generally populations where you see a great number of immigrants, a great number of European influence, as how the nations were founded. Mexico and most of South America were Spain and Portugal. The U.S. and Canada, of course, are France, Britain, a little bit of Spanish influence in there as well. Now, after this moment, the stories all change. It is a very different way of how these things are being reported. This was from the Daily News. John Sandwig, former acting director of ICE under Obama administration, the person who set up the child detention centers, the people who set up these camps, the people who set up and deported the most illegal aliens in our history, John Sandwig of the Obama administration. These are his comments. This is a high-profile way to send a message and create more fear in immigrant communities. Now, if you are an immigrant to the U.S., you, as long as you're legal, have nothing to fear from these ICE raids. Legal immigration isn't being attacked or cracked down on by ICE. ICE is after illegal aliens, not legal immigrants. So we need to make that little change into a statement about ICE and their ability to live and work in this country. If you're in the country illegally, you're not necessarily allowed to live and work in the country. Not at all. Not legally, as we are a nation of laws, and you need to be a legal resident or a legal immigrant in order to work here. This burns an incredible amount of resources to apprehend people, few of whom pose any threat to the U.S. It's for us to show more than anything else. It's for show more than anything else. Let's say that 600 of these people were illegal aliens and are now being deported from the U.S. That is now 600 jobs for low-income, low-skill U.S. citizens or legal immigrants to have. Not this horrible thing. You've just freed up and removed illegal aliens from the country, and now you have 600 new jobs for American citizens or legal immigrants to come into. But that cannot be the view from the left, even though this man, John Sandwig, is one of the key proponents of the Obama administration's child separation policy, of the mass deportations under Obama. This is what he did, and now, because it's quote unquote, it's popular, it's the trending idea on the far left to say that the U.S. doesn't have a right to have borders and no right to say who is in and out of the country. To basically say we are not a nation of laws. We're a nation of whoever wants to come in, can come in, do whatever they want, and we have no say over that. Families belong together. This is a left-wing organization I looked up. They are pretty far left, trying to remove all borders. This is a globalist socialist policy that's just out there. Chair Jess Morales Roqueto released the following statement. Today's massive immigration raid, which may very well have been have swept up American citizens and asylum seekers, may well have swept up American citizens and asylum seekers. Now, that is very possible, that American citizens and asylum seekers. However, asylum seekers would be able to produce paperwork saying they are, and American citizens would also be able to show that they're a citizen of the U.S. Was not executed in a vacuum. Dismantling our asylum laws. No, that's not what the U.S. citizens want to do. That is a far left idea. Caging children. Separating children from illegal activity, from sex traffickers, from all these different groups that are renting them and bringing them into the country only to catch and release or sell them once they're here. And separating families. Separating families is anytime you're caught in criminal activity and you're placed in custody, you are separated from your children. That is not something new to the country. That has happened anytime someone gets arrested. That is just how the law works. All well, El Paso mourns. One event in our country doesn't change every policy, every activity of every other agency in the country. That's not how things work. Because something terrible happens in one place doesn't change something that's going to happen 3 states over by a completely different agency that's unrelated. Doesn't affect any of that. It's just how things are. Trump is a comprehensive white nationalist agenda in action. Trump is comprehensive white nationalist. It is even hard to say that. This man here doesn't know what a white nationalist is. He doesn't understand how this whole idea of extremist breeding more extremists. If you have extremists on the left, they will breed extremists on the right. When the way the U.S. is working right now, all of our media, big companies, all these Democratic politicians are feeding into this far left cycle of hate, of feedback, and that is spilling over into the extremists on the right. Now, there are probably less than 20,000 far-right extremists. However, it is nothing strange to see thousands upon thousands in every city on the far left, and they've had their first shooter. Their first person was in Dayton, Ohio, or Dayton, and it was the first shooter that we've seen from the left. The raids are part of a border strategy that is sadistic, cruel, intentional, all in an effort to terrorize communities of color while scoring racist political points with his base. Now, Trump's base is not white. Trump's base is working class people. A lot of white people, a lot of black people, a lot of Hispanics are there. However, this story is very much set to paint that idea. Now, I found this pretty strange. If the local GOP, this is about the El Paso Times right here, they did a report over what was happening as far as when Trump came to visit. If the GOP had hoped for a private rally showing only support, it was disappointed. For every 2 Trump supporters, there was at least 1 who wished he had stayed away. So in El Paso, after the shootings, they're saying the ratio of protesters to supporters was 2 supporters to every single protester. However, those are never the images you're given. You are given the images like this. You're shown a handful of leftist protesters, people on the left, Democrats, and you see they're predominantly white liberals and a few misinformed people of color who go out while the president does what he's supposed to do, greets them, thanks them for their courage, their issues. And all the pictures you see in here are these guys. This is the traditional way the media paints all the pictures. They have to show that there's no support for president. They're throwing Beto O'Rourke in there, who lost his Senate race, who is pandering as hard as he can to illegal aliens, to people in Mexico, to all these groups to try and get votes from people who are not U.S. citizens. You just see these continuing pictures. There's the one that they're trying to bring out. Supporting the president, supporting America is now a democratic symbol of oppression, the Klan hood. While he meets and thanks people of color and all these different groups, you see crazy white liberals out screaming. NRA Trump money. NRA money to Trump, $36 million. 9 Daytona lives priceless. Now, 9 Daytona lives were taken by a shooter who is a socialist, who's a communist, who's Antifa. That's who did that. Your rhetoric, your fault. I would say this goes to the media. The media is churning out this rhetoric, constant cycle of hate, of fear. And all of these pictures you see are of the other side. These are all of the white liberals in El Paso. I believe this is in Dayton, actually. Yeah, Daytona strong. Yeah. when you have the reports from the local news saying, hey, it's 2-to-1 supporters versus protesters. And here you have a Hispanic man being yelled at by a crazy white liberal. They have lost their minds. They cannot accept what's going on. Welcome, President Trump. Hispanic, shaking hands with a white liberal. I'm sure that this is not what they're going to talk about. All of this stuff. ICE arrest 680. They're painting this, everything the president does must be racist, must be hate-filled, must be the president's visit to El Paso sparked a debate surrounding his last visit there earlier this year when he gave a speech that stirred up anti-immigrant sentiment. It's not against immigrants. It's illegal aliens, illegal border crossings, non-citizens being in the U.S., working, living, taking stuff from our economy, taking tax money. He's not against immigrants. I don't know why they can't understand that illegal aliens are not immigrants. During that speech, Mr. Trump claimed that immigration in the U.S. committed thousands, immigrants, illegal aliens in the U.S. committed thousands of crimes, even though there is no federal database existing comparing crimes to immigration status. There's actually a good list of this. I would have put it in here, but unfortunately I only kind of skimmed over the story. And research indicates that immigrant population actually commits crimes at a lower rate than native-born populations. That is only a statement when they are legal immigrants in the country, but they don't qualify it with that. I don't know why I have all these weird ads, but of course, the headline here. This is from The Independent. ICE arrests 680 immigrants in raids as Trump visits sites of racist shooting where he previously stirred hatred of illegal aliens. Got to fix their title because they say migrants. He's not saying that. He's saying illegal aliens. And migrants, not a real thing, a way to look at people. They're either immigrating to the U.S. to live and work, they're doing it legally, or they're doing it illegally. Migrant just sounds like someone's walking around. That's not what it is. This guy here uses a quote here after the headline. This is sadistic, cruel, and intentional. All in an effort to terrorize communities of color while scoring racist points with his base, one critic says. Now, I read you that because that actually comes from this man here, who is the Jess Morales Rocketero. They don't cite him here, hoping you don't go look for it, and then you can easily find it in a couple of other stories. This man here, whose entire policy is about not having borders for countries and that anyone can come in and out, that's what they're doing. Is a group where he is trying to tear down the fact that countries shouldn't exist, and that's it. Countries shouldn't exist, therefore anyone who says a country should exist is a white supremacist if they're white. However, if they're not white, they're a white supremacist who's attacking their own race. Anyhow, that's the basics of the story. However, you can look it up. El Paso easily says there were 2 Trump supporters. The El Paso Times says 2 Trump supporters for every protester, but you only see the images of protesters because that sells fear, that induces more hate, that makes you think no one is on the side of Trump. However, he is gaining ground because the media cannot drop Orange Man bad. Thank you all for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please go check these stories out yourself. El Paso Times, Google News Overview shows dozens of these. And of course, they're all tying the migrant raid to the shooting, even though shootings carried out by a white nationalist who was in Texas, and the ICE carried out these immigration enforcement activities in Mississippi. Pretty far apart, unrelated. So there you go. Have a great day. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. always want to get some feedback from people.